Hi, welcome to Kremés podcast.
Podcast yang paling receh and garing, but maybe informative too, depending on the day.
I'm T.
And I'm A,
Semoga podcast ini bisa nemenin lo.
and hope you enjoy the episode.
Hey guys, welcome back to Kremés, podcast penuh ngobrolan yang asik dan mantap. So some of you may know that this Monday was the 17th of August or 17 Agustus for Indonesians, and it's a special day in our calendar because it's our Independence Day. So today we thought it fitting to talk about all things Hari Kemerdekaan, including a little history lesson on the origins of the day, traditional obligations, and acara-acara that happens, as well as sharing about how people would normally celebrate on this day in Indo. We also may take a trip down memory lane and reminisce how we spend that day, hey, eh? I don't know about you, but I can recall I played some pretty interesting games back then.
Yeah, definitely. I think back then I did a lot of games, but also I remember doing the upacara itself. Kayak upacara 17-an itu tuh harus banget karena sekolah gue tuh dulu tuh National Plus, right? Jadi kayak kita tuh nggak ada upacara setiap Senin. Jadi kita upacara cuma 17 Agustusan doang gitu. Dan gue inget banget kayak gue harus baca UUD 45 gitu-gitu. Terus itu tuh zamannya yang kita senang banget kayak gue lupa apa sih yang kayak setengah tangan gitu. Unfortunately this is a podcast, jadi kalian nggak bisa ngeliat apa yang kita lakukan, tapi kayak you know waktu kita kayak kiri gerak gitu kan, kayak harus ketukannya harus pas gitu loh. But yeah, definitely selamat Hari Merdeka Indonesia 17 Agustus ini. Woo. But yeah. Tell us about the history dikit deh, biar kita kayak sedikit reminiscing, tapi juga bisa buat yang teman-teman kita yang mungkin gedenya di Australia atau gedenya di luar Indonesia bisa ngerti 17 Agustus tuh gimana sih. Cause I know for sure kayak dede gue juga masih yang kayak gak terlalu jelas gitu loh Indonesia tuh merdeka gimana atau apa yang terjadi waktu itu. Cause like I think outside Indonesia kita learn a lot more about World War II, World War I kan daripada kemerdekaan Indonesianya itu sendiri. So T, go ahead.
Okay, so Independence Day, or in Indonesian we call it Hari Kemerdekaan, or even colloquially it's known as 17-an, which is like the 17th. It's basically a national holiday in Indonesia, commemorating the anniversary of Indonesia's proclamation of independence, which was on the 17th of August 1945. It was made a national holiday by the president then, which was President Sukarno, in 1953. So very much similar to Australia Day. Ceremonies and festive events are held throughout the country to celebrate this national day, including flag hoistings, local games, upacara, as A mentioned, and neighborhood competitions. Basically, it gets really patriotic and really cultural, with a lot of parades and just really, fun activities for everyone to participate in. Even discounts are offered by, different shopping centers or businesses, so everyone really is meant to benefit from this day. All Indonesian television channels also broadcast the National Independence Day ceremony, which is live from Merdeka Palace in Jakarta. And televisions also often air Indonesian patriotic songs or like nationalistic themed films, advertisements and talk shows. I know this year marks the 75th, if I'm correct, anniversary of the of Merdeka. So I was literally scrolling through Instagram, and I know that McDonald's Indonesia just released these like 9 different sort of culturally linked foods, such as nasi goreng burger, or like es krim es teler. What else? McFlurry teh botol. So instead of like milk tea ice cream, it's like teh botol tea ice cream mixed with kue jadul or mixed with Oreo topping. So it's like legit, it's like amazing. So if you guys are in Indo right now, check that out, because I am literally drooling right now, bikin ngiler banget and bikin gua pengen mau pulang, honestly. Okay, so a quick history spiel. Indonesia had been a Dutch colony for over 300 years, and then the Japanese came and took control for a little bit, I think about like 2 or 3 years or so. Correct me if I'm wrong because my history is terrible, I'm so sorry. And then a group of revolutionaries declared independence on the 17th of August 1945. And on that day, the proclamation of Indonesian independence, or proklamasi kemerdekaan Indonesia, was read at 10 in the morning by President Sukarno in Jakarta. And the wording of that proclamation had to really balance the interest of conflicting internal Indonesian and Japanese interests at that time. It was quite a sensitive period. The declaration marked the start of the diplomatic and armed resistance of the Indonesian National Revolution, who were fighting against the forces of the Netherlands and the pro-Dutch civilians, until the latter officially acknowledged Indonesia's independence in 1949. So it took Indonesians 4 years of diplomacy and armed struggle before their independence was formally granted by the Queen Juliana of the Netherlands. Despite granting independence in 1945, it wasn't actually until 2005 that the Netherlands declared that they had decided to accept the date of 17th of August 1945 as the date of Indonesia's independence. August 17th was also the date when the red and white national flag, known to locals as Sang Saka Merah Putih, was flown for the first time. Wow, that was a mouthful.
Yeah, nah, that was it is actually like quite like it was quite interesting, and if you like, I think I heard this story back when I was in primary school before I moved here, kayak sebelum pindah gitu. Tapi ada juga film Sukarno di Netflix. Jadi siapapun yang punya Netflix, coba cek, ada film Sukarno yang I feel itu quite literally explain what happened, and juga true to the story banget. Jadi kayak emang ngejelasin dari sisi Sukarno-nya, tapi kayak ngejelasin juga apa yang tadi Teh bilang tentang waktu itu tuh emang lagi waktu yang sensitif banget dari Indonesia sama Japanese. Suara gue hilang. But yeah, so jadi kayak waktu itu tuh bener-bener karena yang gue tahu sih dari cerita dari apa yang gue tonton juga. Jadi waktu itu tuh Jepang tuh kayak gimana ya, kayak dia tuh mau merekrut kita karena kita punya tenaga, kita punya orang-orang yang jadi prajurit, tapi Jepang nggak mau kita tahu kalau kita tuh sebenarnya tuh mereka tuh lagi rekrut kita gitu loh. Jadi what happened was they like, oh enggak, kita di sini buat support kalian untuk independence gini. Tapi sekalinya kayak miring sedikit dari apa yang Jepang mau, tuh kekerasan terjadi gitu. Dan unfortunately tuh banyak banget kekerasan yang terjadi waktu zaman itu ya. As always kita selalu kayak respect our elders yang udah fight for us for this independence dan segala macam gitu. But yeah, so jadi there are a lot of kekerasan terjadi, but also at the same time karena Indonesia tuh gede banget, and we're supposed to be we're actually so proud of it, and we are supposed to be so proud of it because it's so big. But jadi bener apa yang Teh bilang, like it's so sensitive between Indonesia and Jepang, but also between Indonesian themselves. Kenapa? Karena kayak A mau ini, B mau ini, apa segala mau ini. Jadi itu waktu saat itu tuh beneran kayak Pancasila tuh ada dulu, baru proklamasi gitu loh. Jadi mereka harus tulis dulu Pancasila 1-5 itu diketik, ditulis ulang, baru mereka ready untuk jadi satu negara, dan di situ baru perjalanan Soekarno lanjutin lagi untuk cari kemerdekaan kita gitu kan. Hari Merdeka is definitely an important public holiday di Indonesia, dan kayak ini tuh di-celebrate di semua suku bangsa, semua desa, semua kota, semua camat, even sampai orang-orang Indonesia yang ada di luar Indonesia pun kita masih celebrate itu. Dan walaupun kayak beda-beda different regions, different kota, pasti kayak suku bangsa gitu pasti celebrate differently ya, tapi it is still a day of celebration, a day of patriotism, which is very valued amongst Indonesian, right, T?
Yeah, betul banget. So just like we Aussies celebrating Australia Day, there's a few official ceremonies that take place and are spread to the masses via social media. So this includes the national kind of formal flag hoisting ceremony, which is the one taking place at Merdeka Palace in Jakarta. And it's hosted by the current Indonesian president, and they reenact the whole Declaration of Independence proclaimed by Sukarno in 1945. So they do it right at the same time, so at 10 a.m. And they do the whole thing. So This is broadcast nationwide on radio and on television, and obviously many distinguished guests are invited to attend, including ambassadors and diplomatic guests and so on and so forth. Even celebrities, cultural figures, veterans, prominent figures essentially are invited, and they have to, be present to really celebrate and show their patriotism. The declaration is read on this day in public by a representative of the legislative branch, and then the national flag is actually hoisted and then lowered in later on in the afternoon at the grounds of the palace. So there's also an official parade in Jakarta that sort of circulates Merdeka Palace, as well as key sort of national and historical places in Jakarta, as well as across the country.
Ya, benar banget. Dan ini untuk ini fun fact aja ya, kalau misalnya kalian yang for you guys that was not born in Indonesia atau yang belum pernah, mungkin nggak pernah ngeliat, just a fun fact, kalau kalian pergi ke Monas, if you guys go to Monas, on the top floor actually, you can hear the recording of Sukarno on that day. Jadi they will play it and you can hear like Sukarno actually say the word by word of the proklamasi. Jadi yang kalian mau denger bisa ke atas, di atas Monas. Dan kalau misalnya kalian ke bawah, ke basementnya itu tuh ada kayak diorama. Jadi diorama perjalanan Indonesia sampai merdeka tuh bisa dilihat juga di bawahnya. So just thought it's something fun fact that you guys can check it out if you ever go to Monas again. But yeah, speaking of parade, communities organize karnaval kemerdekaan biasanya, which take place yang tadi Taya bilang juga di street in the cities atau misalnya di desa, di villages across the nation. Sometimes banyak juga yang bakal berbaju daerah. Jadi kayak they using their ethnic costume, patriotic costume untuk local people, dan juga banyaknya juga di politik places ya, kayak governments gitu-gitu. Tapi juga definitely school sih, karena ada beberapa sekolah yang malah mengharuskan untuk datang ke sekolah untuk 17 Agustus upacara. Ada juga yang enggak, ada juga yang kayak kalau misalnya upacaranya misalnya jatuhnya hari Minggu, ya udah hari Seninnya upacara 17-an gitu. Then they also have a national main parade that doesn't usually take place on the 17th of August. I don't think based on what we researched, it happens on a Sunday morning following the 17th of August. The parade carnival usually feature marching bands, decorative floats, patriotic parades, cultural carnivals. They usually start in Merdeka Square by the National Monument in Jakarta. Jadi dari Merdeka Square ke Monas, through Capital Main Avenue kayak Tamrin, Sudirman, terus passing Selamat Datang Monument di Gelora Bung Karno. In recent years, however, the main national carnival has not been staged in national capital, but in provinces with regional cities taking turn hosting the national event. Jadi kayak contoh 2017 kemarin kalau nggak salah di Bandung ya, parade nasional kemerdekaan nasionalnya, karnivalnya itu ada di Bandung. Jadi pindah-pindah tempat gitu.
Ya, benar. Just a quick sort of heads up guys, Monas itu adalah monumen nasional ya. So like it's, you know how in our previous episodes talking about slang, orang Indo sering basically mush two different words together just to shorten it. So Monas is actually monumen nasional. It's pretty cool. But yeah, so that's what we were referring to. But it's really interesting to compare all this to the festivities that happen during Australia Day too. So it's definitely meant to be a joyous day to celebrate with friends and family and to be proud of one's citizenship, where there may be things like bouncy castles, face painting, shows and rides. For Australia Day, Indonesians are pretty much same, but also different. So selain parade dan carnival, there's lots of fun and games too. Now this is really sort of the fun part. After the flag ceremony in the morning, people usually spend the rest of the day organizing various games and competitions for children and adults alike. And traditional games and competitions are usually held sort of everywhere. So from not just in the capital city of Jakarta, but also in the desa and wherever across Indonesia. So some really fun 17-an games include things like eating kerupuk. And if you guys are familiar with the Indonesian kerupuk, it's like, we have so many different types, but you've got the iconic one, which is like white, and it's kind of like a circle the size of your face. And usually, what happened when I was growing up is they would tie this kerupuk or this cracker by a string, and we have to eat the kerupuk without using our hands. So, the person who eats the kerupuk first is the winner, or we would have races, eating them. Another famous and iconic activity is something called panjat pinang, which is essentially there's a sort of, I guess, a long palm tree, a tall palm tree or a pinang tree, and they would grease the entire they would grease the entire pole of the tree or the stem of the tree, and they would actually tie presents at the very top. So on its branches, they would tie as many amazing and extravagant presents as possible. And I've seen people actually managing to tie up microwaves or like, a small TV or, other amazing hadiah-hadiah yang teristimewa gitu. Like, you really got to make sure that, they deserve the presents that await them at the very top. And essentially, people have to climb this tree and fight each other and get through all that grease and all the oil, and you can see them slipping each time. But it's hilarious to watch and probably even more fun to participate in it. So that's Panjat Pinang for you. And I encourage you all, if you don't know it, just to even just search it on YouTube and just watch the madness that ensues. Other things include, marble and spoon race, which is very similar to like an egg and spoon race, or tug of war, musical chairs, pillow fights, something called hitting the candy terracotta, which is basically similar to like a piñata, cycling, balloon bursting, lots and lots of different competitions and in games. We also get a lot of cultural activities, which include tari nasional or tarian daerah. So people would dress up in their respective regional clothing and do dances. I remember as a kid, I would find these games the best. Some people are so creative with inventing these fun tricks, and some were so dedicated to win that they would, do anything or get really messy and dirty just to claim the prizes for the fun of it. Do you remember playing any of these games?
Yes, definitely. Gue sih jujur paling suka dulu main bakyak, which is wooden clock. Jadi kayak 3 orang, kita kakinya di-attach ke wood satu, kayak it's like you playing ski tapi bukan ski. Jadi kayak 3 orang di satu ski gitu kan. Terus harus lomba, apalagi kalau nggak lomba karung. Jadi you guys go into like a rice karung beras, literally, where when you get your rice, it comes with a bag, right? You basically go into that and then you just jump to the other side, kayak lu lompat. Itu keren, itu rame banget sih. Dan gue paling juga suka tarik tambang, tug of war, definitely. Terus kalau nggak main searching coins in flowers, actually quite fun, karena lu kayak niup tepungnya, terus kayak lu harus nemuin koinnya. Tapi yang paling susah dan tapi paling kayak rame itu insert a thread into a bottle. Jadi bukan a thread, chopstick. Jadi biasa kalau nggak pensil itu tuh chopstick. Ditaliin pakai tali rafia kan, terus ditaliin ke pinggang lu.
Yeah.
Terus di bawah lu tuh ada botol.
Yeah.
Jadi lu harus kayak masukin pensilnya ke dalam botolnya gitu. Tapi kayak ada triknya gitu ternyata. Jadi kayak harusnya tuh pensilnya tuh dikenain dulu ke tip botolnya baru masuk gitu loh. Kayak ada orang tuh like literally make like different tips and tricks biar bisa menang gitu. Dan tapi juga yang kerennya lagi, kita kalau pillow fight di Indo atau di 17-an usually nggak di atas matras, biasa tuh di atas kali di mana tengahnya tuh ada jembatan, tapi jembatannya cuma a log of like wood, terus ya literally lu hit somebody else until they fall into the water. Tapi gila itu sih rame banget sih. I miss it so much. I haven't done 17-an in so long. Ya udah lama banget gue nggak ikut acara 17-an karena di sini sebenarnya kita masih ada di KJRI kita untuk ngerayain 17-an tanggal 17 Agustus tuh langsung pagi-pagi kita masih ada upacara. Cuman udah upacara aja gitu. Jarang banget ada yang kayak game-gamenya. Tapi mungkin ada. Cuman karena KJRI itu letaknya tuh di city ya kalau di Perth. Jadi tuh susah nyari parkirnya dan gak bisa banyak orang juga gitu.
Yeah. I think aside from the games and activities and parades, obviously it's the food. You know me being a foodie. I always look forward to the food that is offered on 17-an because you get to really, sample all of the makanan dari daerah-daerah. So you get to really see the amazing diaspora of Indonesian flavors by province, by desa, by different subcultures. So it's amazing to really get to know all these things and just have a day of it or even a week, because usually festivities last for about a week or so. But yeah, well, anyways, we hope you learned a thing or two about 17 Agustus or Hari Kemerdekaan, its history as well as the festivities. I'm pretty sure this year, given the recent pandemic, they are going to have, well, from Indonesia, they're going to have a virtual event that everyone can tune into. So maybe you guys, if you're really interested in immersing yourself and getting involved, feel free to Google it. But I'm sure there's going to be, for those of you in Australia, there's going to be a lot of virtual or even, in-person 17 Agustus events, depending on where you're at. Again, when we are able to travel out of this pandemic, please do, we recommend you hanging around this particular day if you're ever in Indonesia, because you can really get into the thick of the festivities and fun. So you can really, be part of this whole amazing period of time. You can really immerse yourself in the culture. And to our fellow Indos, let us know how you celebrate Hari Merdeka in Indo, Australia, or anywhere else, wherever you are. Whether it be flying the merah putih or just eating some kerupuk, which is what I'll be doing this year. Let it be a symbol of your cultural pride. And of course, we can't end the episode before singing the song.
Definitely. Just wanna let you guys know kalau misalkan interested tentang the history of it, atau kayak mau interested tentang Pancasila, atau kayak can you recite UUD 45 and stuff like that, let us know in the comments. Like, we are more than happy to research it for you. Dan especially kita berdua emang dulu juga pernah high school di Indo, jadi like we have some knowledge about Indonesian culture and definitely some knowledge about Indonesian history as well. We're more than happy to share it, because I think that's what we want this podcast to be. Is like we want it to be informative and but also like light and also like fun and stuff, which is why we make Kremés in the first place, right? So let us know, and yes, definitely we cannot say goodbye without singing a few songs of Indonesian songs. But just so you know, I'm actually so proud of Indo though, not gonna lie. I know it's just like, this is probably gonna be a curhat thing, but Indonesian like national song ada banyak banget gitu loh. Australia kita cuma yang ada Australia itu kan. Tapi Indo tuh ada 17 Agustus, ada Indonesia Raya, ada ya ada Halo-Halo Bandung, kayak banyak banget gitu lagu-lagu nasional di Indonesia gitu. So guys, read about it, listen to it. It's actually like brings so much joy to like sing it for me. Even sometimes singing Merah Putihnya Kotak, I don't know if you ever heard it. It's like the one that Merah Putih teruslah kau berkibar. It's like such a like national pride. Wow. Yeah, and that was from like a band, like a music band, normal band. It wasn't even like a national song, but that's like oof, like it was like merah darahku putih tulangku, and I'm like, this is me.
It's
But yeah, if you kalau kalian bukan dari Indo, please like just watch the movie and like just listen to the stories behind it. Is so cool. How we even get the red and white was because of the red, white, and blue flag from the Netherlands, that we take out the blue. It's so cool. Like I think it's still so cool how the process happened, and like the perjuangan ya hero-hero kita lah yang ada di Indonesia untuk dapat kemerdekaan gitu. But yeah, we will say goodbye via a song. Thank you so much for listening. Hope you guys tune in again next week. Here we go. 17 Agustus tahun 45.
Itulah hari kemerdekaan kita.
Hari merdeka, nusa dan bangsa.
Hari lahirnya bangsa Indonesia.
Merdeka.
Thank you for listening.
Jangan lupa like, comment, and subscribe, and share it with your friends.
I'd love to hear from you. Please reach out with your comments, stories, and even questions on what we should talk about. See you in the next episode.
Bye. Dah.